What is up, guys? We are here live from Hawaii. We got Cal and Jay and our special guest today, Sal. Thank you so much for having us out to your condo here in beautiful Maui.
Glad you boys are enjoying it.
Yeah, my gosh, I cannot believe the luxury you live in. We finally at Cal and Jay have our first sponsor today. Thank you so much, you guys, for all your support. You guys made this possible. Without you, we never would have gotten the support to do this. We have our first sponsor. We're so proud to be introducing Salvatore Financial Advising. Is that correct?
Financial advisory services.
Yeah, we're so excited to be here in Maui. You flew us out, and Jay, do you have anything you'd like to say to Salvatore and the fans?
So,
all right, thanks for the hype intro. I was expecting a little more today because Salvatore's in our presence. But yeah, we're going to be breaking down the NBA over-unders from Westgate Current. This is August 4th. We're making this pod so if the over-under lines change by any drastic trades that happen before the season or if any injuries happen. This pod was recorded on August 4th. Any given Sunday, we always give you guys what you want when you need it. Every Sunday we're coming through. So we're going to be giving you guys to date what the over-under, our projections are, whether it's going to be over-under. We're going to be hypothetically, betting our money on it. So if we had to put the money on the line, where would we go over-under? You guys are going to love this, especially if you have any gamblers out there. Take our advice. We really know the game at a high level, so our projections are usually on point. I usually hit these at a 70-80% rate. Jay, maybe 60 to 70. Not trying to diss your prowess. I'm sure you're on point too. But based on the past few years, we've had really high success rates. Certainly positive gambling earnings. If we don't gamble ourselves. But we like to do these pods before every season. So Jay and Salvatore's more of a casual NBA observer. But he has good insight.
I don't claim to have the knowledge these boys got.
But he's still going to give us, our more our layman NBA fan, what your average fan might
kind of give us an insight into
the casual NBA fan, because we have trouble sometimes identifying that, and Sal's going to give us that perfect insight into that as well.
I'm more of a casual fan.
But he loves the game as well as we do.
But I do love the game. Played the game a lot. And I bowled a lot, as we've talked about.
He was a professional bowler. So check out our shoe review on our Cal and Jay YouTube channel if you guys saw that. Sal actually appeared on that the first time we met him.
That's right.
He's become our first sponsor. We're so proud to have him on. And any other sponsors listening, we always we do have room for podcasts. So if you like podcasts and you're interested in our pod and think we're going to be growing, feel free to sponsor us as well. So we're going to be starting out top to bottom on the Westgate projections. The Bucks here currently projected to be first at 58.5 is their over-under total. For reference, they won 60 games last year, went 60-22. For me, I think this is a clear over. I think Giannis is going to be coming back with a vengeance. He got humbled a bit in last playoffs. He doesn't have the best shoes. If you guys have tried the Zoom Freak ones, wasn't a huge fan, not much impact protection. So I think he may actually get injured later on in the season, but I think he's going to be coming out firing. And, I think they're going to probably be topping that 58.5 fairly easy. Probably settle into around 62 wins. That's what I see him at. Jay, your thoughts on that?
I'm going to have to go again with the over. I'm really liking what we're seeing out of Brook Lopez. I think he had a really strong finish to the season. We're going to see how that plays out this year. I also think Giannis is going to have one of those revenge seasons. He's going to have something to prove after people saying he kind of failed in the playoffs. I think he's going to be hungry.
Yeah, I could certainly see that. What do you think of the Brogdon loss? Do you think that's a huge loss for them, or do you think they're going to be able to recover pretty well?
Definitely think they'll be able to recover from that. Didn't really see much out of Brogdon last year that really interested me. I don't think it's going to hurt him too much, and I don't really see the East really looks a lot weaker to me this year, so I could see very similar success to what they had last year, especially with my guy Connaughton. He really seems to be developing an even better player. I could see him. I kind of have him around 59 wins, so I think that
it's right on the money.
It's going to be really close for me, but I have the over.
And Sal, your thoughts?
Well, I've heard of this Greek Freak.
You heard of him, all right?
I've heard of him, and I got to say, I'm more of a Western Division fan. So I'm out here based in California, so didn't get a chance to see the Bucks play a lot of games. But I was kind of surprised because I expected a stronger Bucks team in the playoffs, and
they certainly folded under the pressure.
That surprised me. I was a casual fan, so I'm going to go under on that.
Under, huh?
Just as a casual.
Do you think it's a major under, or do you think it's
not a major? No. I'd say just barely missing that. Just missing that Vegas set. So I'm going to say 57 games.
Not a bad take, Sal. I don't think you're going to be too far off either way there. Vegas put a pretty good line out there, 58.5, pretty tough bet. That's probably a stay away from us. Any injury, you're going under. If they heat up, could be an over if you think they're going to be under that. So dangerous bet. We don't recommend that one. Not one of our stronger, misses there from Vegas.
Yeah.
But on to the Sixers. We got them at 55.5 from Westgate. They added Al Horford. It's going to be a questionable fit next to Embiid, whether that's really a huge addition to the team. They lost Jimmy Butler. And they maxed out Harris. I think there is some hints that Ben Simmons is developing a bit of a jump shot in the offseason. Now, everybody always looks good in off-season videos. Hoodie Mellows are your classic example of that. But I think, if they can continue to build on what they were starting to put together last season, they lost a few pieces in Redick and Jimmy Butler. But, I think they're going to be probably similar to last season. And Al Horford's a really underrated player, even if the fit is a bit questionable with Embiid. And he has some range on him, too. He can shoot a three. So, this is another tough line. Really good line out here by Vegas. I would go with a slight under. I have them about a 53-win team just because some of their pieces I question the fit together. I think there's a little overlap in skills, and I think their wing depth could be a little better. Your thoughts on that, Jay?
Now, Cal, I just want to put this out there that, as always with gambling, do gamble at your own risk. I do not partake. But I think this one's a clear under for me. I have 76ers around 48 wins. So to me, it's not even close. But again, I think this is where we differ on Ben Simmons. I think he's going to continue to fall off as he has been. I've watched the videos and highlights. He's wide open. I think if anyone puts a hand anywhere near him, I don't think it's going to be anywhere close. I do love Horford, but again, I kind of agree with you. I don't really see much out of him and Embiid together.
And he's getting older, too, so that's something to think about.
Yeah, he's definitely getting older, and if you watched their games last year, a lot of the closing time was Jimmy Buckets, and they don't have him anymore.
He won them several games.
I don't think Tobias Harris is that guy.
No.
And I don't really think they have a closer. Embiid, health concerns.
Yeah. I mean, he's got bad knees.
He may be your closer, but
he's got
Ben Simmons, if he's got the ball at the end, I'm fouling him. Jimmy Buckets was the guy that kind of you put the ball in his hands at the end to close. They lost their closer.
Horford works his magic, though. That's the only reason.
Horford is money, but as you said, he is getting older.
He's getting older. That's true.
It's definitely a below. For
I
me.
would say it's a way below, if not for Horford. Otherwise, I think it's a slight below for me.
Although you could argue weaker East right now, but
weaker East. I think it's still a slight under for
still
me.
Low for me.
I'm going to say a 52-53 win team.
I got him around 48.
Sal, what's your range for them?
Well, I'm gonna side with Jay here. I'm gonna go with that 47 total he's coming up with. My main concern, I don't know if I got this right, but I listened to that Ben Simmons podcast quite a bit, and if he's got a lot of time devoted to that podcast, I don't know how he's getting in the gym and doing this. Do I got that name right?
Ben Simmons, his jumper, he's working on that. I think JJ Redick has a pod. He's on the Pelicans now.
I thought he had a podcast.
Does Ben Simmons have a pod? Bill Simmons. Are you talking Bill Simmons?
Oh, it's Bill Simmons. Okay, Bill Simmons.
You're killing me. You're killing
Bill Simmons.
Well, he's a casual NBA fan.
I listened to that Ben Simmons. I thought it was Ben Simmons' podcast. Yeah,
No.
Well, I'm still sticking with my 47.
Honest mistake there, Sal. We can't blame you for that one. But you're still going 47. Okay.
I'm a plus 60s gentleman, so
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, at the end, we can tell.
Get a little confused.
Who knows? Maybe Sal knows more than the rest of us do. Sometimes these amateurs come in with these crazy bets that turn out to be genius. He could be clairvoyant. We'll see. But good take there, Sal. We like that. Thanks so much for sponsoring us once again.
Oh, I'm just pleased you boys are out here enjoying the Whaler. Just one of my properties.
Oh, it's a phenomenal resort. The view is incredible. Ocean front, 8th floor.
Yeah.
You cannot top that. I'll tell you.
Yeah. Cal, that gal you brought out with you, she's a fantastic lady. She really is.
Well, I don't want any fans sliding into her DMs, so not going to put too much details out there, but thank you so much, Sal. I know how you guys are. Basketball players, stay out of those DMs, you thirsty crew. All right. No, I'm just playing. But Philadelphia, on to them. The next one is the Clippers at 54.5 wins. Now, this is interesting because I think you're going to see, while this is an extremely talented team at the top with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, really top-heavy team. I think load management could come into play here. Kawhi Leonard last season played about 60 games. I think next season you're probably going to see more of the same as he recovers from that quad injury. Paul George has a questionable shoulder. He's coming off surgery. He may not be ready to return at the start of the season. Both of them have injury question marks, and I think if either of them miss significant time, I think we're going to be sliding in under that 54.5 win mark, and this is another under for me. I think this is a bit too high. They're going to be a great playoff team, but I think regular season you're going to be seeing them sliding in below that 54.5 mark. I have them probably around 51, 52 wins for me. Probably a second or third seed in the East. I like the team, love the composition. They got a lot of dogs in that team that are going to fight. But I think load management and injury concerns are going to keep them from hitting that 54.5 mark based on the injury history of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Your thoughts on that, Jay?
This is going to be one of those ones where I say stay away from this bet. I got them around 55 wins. I'm going to give them a slight over. I think it's fair to project about a Kawhi Leonard about a 60-game season, and I'm seeing about 50 wins out of those 60 games. I think getting the other 5 in the other 20 games is definitely doable with Lou Williams, especially if Paul George plays. He's looking healthy after that surgery, so hoping he won't be doing the same thing. And maybe if he does do it, maybe they switch nights. So
you think 50 and 10 is a fair mark for this team with a healthy Kawhi?
With Kawhi and Paul George.
I mean, he's
playing,
great,
yes.
but 50 and 10, that's a pretty absurd pace.
I think that with especially with Montrezl Harrell, Pat Beverly working hard. I think 15. I honestly don't think it's too crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if they can hit that pace with
even 45 and 15, you got another 10 and 10 when he's out.
Yeah,
then you hit your 55. I think it's definitely doable.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be convinced by you because I did go the slide under. I think they're going to be a great
slide
team.
over, definitely a tough bet though.
I think
I'd
there'll
stay
be
away from
a
this
little
one.
malaise in the February, March that might take a few games off. Even they're great players. Nobody has a fire every night, so I'm going to ding them a few wins there. I think I still have them under this bet. It's a stay away bet for me because this isn't a clear over or clear under for me. Sal, your thoughts on that?
I'm going to go that over. Slide over.
Sal, you are a ballsy guy.
Well, I love that Lou fella.
Lou Williams, yeah,
I do love that Lou fella.
He's got.
I've always loved that Lou fella.
Yeah, what do you think?
He got a lot of dog in him.
He's got some dog, and they got Pat Bev.
I do love him.
Yeah,
and I've always loved Kawhi Leonard. Followed him over the years.
Yeah.
So I like the team. I like the owner too. He has a lot of energy.
You like Ballmer?
Yeah, I do. He really loves his team.
He sure does.
And they got good management there. So I'm going to go a slide over.
I'm with you, Sal. I mean, you're with Jay there. I think a slide over is fair. For me, it's a slide under. We'll see at the end of the season. I can't wait to come back and revisit this pod. You guys feel free to call me out on it if you want. You guys have my email. It's linked in the bio. But let's move on. We got the Jazz at 54.5 wins. This is going to surprise some of you guys, but I have this as a pretty clear over. I think the Jazz are going to be one of the greatest regular season surprises next year. The addition of Bogdanovich is just going to be huge for them. Great, strong, burly wing with some game who can spread the floor for him. And I really like the addition of Conley, too. I think he's a great regular season player as well. Really unselfish, knows how to move the ball. He's going to get all the team involved playing the right way. And I could see chemistry really clicking by midseason. I think they're going to go on a tear midseason. I think 60 games is hittable for this team. They're going to be one of the top seeds in the West and a serious contender for the championship next year. Utah Jazz, do not sleep on them. That's a clear over for me. And a decent bet in Vegas. Your thoughts on that, Jay?
Give me the line again, Cal.
54.5, Utah Jazz.
Cal, I'm going to... One of the rare cases I'm going the other way.
Don't you dare.
I'm going under.
Have I ever led you astray? Be honest with yourself, Jay. Name one time.
Man, Cal, that is true. That is true. That is
but
why
take your chances
crazy.
for the pod. Take your chances. I like having someone disagree with me. Go ahead, take your chances. But do know you're on record here because we are releasing this pod.
I'm fine being on record for this one. I'm going to go under. I'm going to have about 51 wins. I'm thinking the start of the season maybe Donovan Mitchell's trying to break out of his slump. And I think that may really bring him down.
Donovan Mitchell could be their Achilles heel.
He may be their Achilles heel. If he's chucking and missing, I think
He's not
This
going to
made
get
me
away
think-
with that with that many veterans on the roster.
Bogdanovich may not
Conley.
feel comfortable yet taking over that. Mike Conley and Bogdanovich may not be comfortable yet
Ed
taking over that
Davis.
role.
I mean, that's just a stacked team. You're really going to put him under.
It's a stacked team. I
All right.
think Donovan may be trying to, because it seems like the NBA is really going for these close matchup games, even in the regular season.
But
now.
all that depth, all that talent, all that veteranship, all that good
The
character.
NBA is really turning into one of those things where you need to
And
hit
the
the
Utah-
last shot to win it.
Yeah,
And I think Donovan may be the one trying to take those shots in the first few games.
that is a good point.
I feel like the rest are kind of stacking into be really tight games, and then you need your closer.
You do need a closer, but I think
And
with that much talent on
I
the
think
roster,
in the first 10 games, I think they're gonna try and establish Donovan
he's not that guy.
to be that guy.
He's
I mean,
not terrible. Donovan is
but I'm
not
saying
terrible.
He's not terrible, but I think maybe he wins 4 out of those 10, so 4 and 6, and then I think they kind of get off to a slow start. I agree with you. Midseason, it's going to be a really powerful
They're
team.
going on a tear midseason.
But I don't know. It's a really loaded West. They got Dallas to deal with. They got the Pelicans to deal with. They got the Lakers. They got the Clippers. Every team's going to be hungry. So
Yeah, that's true. That could wear on their wins a bit, but
Yeah.
I still love the
It's-
composition of that team.
it's
And you
it's a hungry conference.
even a Western Conference team plays a lot of Eastern Conference teams. So you're still going to be
Okay,
playing.
maybe 52, but I still got the under.
You're still playing 30 games against the other conference, so it's not a total landslide.
Okay, I'll give you that. My final say is under 52 wins.
Well, first of all, the over-under line was 54.5.
I know. I'm saying I'm
Oh, you're
going
going to say
under,
at 52 wins. Okay.
under at
I got
52
you.
wins.
And Sal?
You know what? This Utah team has always been a puzzle to me. And, I see them when they play in the Bay Area over the years. And so I'm actually gonna tell you I have got no opinion on this. I'm gonna leave this between for you two experts. I got a lot of ideas in the financial side of life, but sometimes I am smart enough man to just stay out of it. So this
Absolutely.
one I'm staying out of it.
I wish I had done that in so many stock market decisions in my
And
life.
I've given you guys some good investment advice over the years.
You sure have.
And
Sometimes best just to stay out of it. It's fixed income.
that's right.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks, Sal. We're going to move on to the Rockets. Over under at 54.5. This might be my highlighted best bet of the podcast. I have this as maybe, the biggest landslide under on this pod. I have them more at a 30-32-ish win rate. So I have them.
Holy
If I have them over by,
cow.
I have them missing.
You are too much.
I have them missing this line by over 20. So.
You think everyone in Vegas has went that insane?
Well, I don't think a lot of Vegas players have ever played basketball in their lives. How are James Harden and Russell Westbrook going to share the ball? And at what, they gave up all their depth, over the past few years signing these
Are you
players. to
telling me
max
they
contract.
don't have Eric Gordon, PJ Tucker, Clint Capella still?
You're correct, but they're all older. And there's only one ball to go around, I just don't see it.
Say Harden gets injured.
Russell Westbrook is a team cancer. I can see this team easily
I'll
imploding.
let you finish. Sorry.
It's
I'll let
a
you finish.
clear under for me. I have them at about 32 wins. I just don't think the talent's there. I think people are catching on to Harden, including around the league. I don't think he's going to get those superstar calls this year. I think it's really going to hold him back. And I have this as a clear under, the best bet of the pod, perhaps for me. If anyone likes to disagree, feel free to comment. But I think this is probably a long shot, as we covered in the offseason grades. Russell Westbrook is just. It's oil and water. Him and James Harden is going to implode. It's just a ticking time bomb. Just count on it. That is not going to be a matchup that's going to pay off for them. And losing Chris Paul is going to hurt more than you think. Your thoughts on that, Jay?
Give me the line again.
It is at 54.5.
Well, Cal, definitely going to have to go under with you there, but I think you may have really overreacted. I'm going to give them around 46 wins.
Okay.
I always have been a big fan of Clint Capella, PJ Tucker, Eric Gordon. Those guys just have that dog in them.
Yeah.
Agree, Russell's going to bring him down, but that's why I have him down to about 46. James Harden, not great, but for some reason the refs really give him a lot of regular season foul calls. I I don't know what it is.
But do
he
you think
just flops his arms and they'll give him a win.
There's rumors they're going to enforce real footwork for him this season, so he's going to not be able
Now
to score.
that does scare me. Okay, this is contingent on the NBA rules as of now.
Okay, but
So if they add in some...
There was discussion about saying we're going to enforce traveling, so then he's going to
If
be...
they enforce traveling in the regular season, we may have a different conversation.
Yeah, because he's going to be a bottom 5 starting shooting guard with traveling and no fouls. No illegitimate fouls. So
that is true. Some of his step backs I don't think are travels.
I actually did see a highlight the other day. He had a real legitimate step back.
Yeah,
it was a
it
one
does happen.
and then a jump stop.
So maybe he just focused more on doing it.
No, it was a highlight because I was watching a highlight tape because I was just doing my YouTube rounds, and he did have one on the highlight reel, which was pretty awesome. It was a one step into a jump stop backward and he made the shot. There was one. It was about an 8-minute clip, but he did have one play in there. It actually was not a travel. It was really incredible. So pretty hype move there.
So I have him about 46. I do think Austin Rivers is actually going to come back hungry. I think it's going to be infuriating to him playing behind Russell Westbrook. That's going to light a fire up under him. I'm going to have him around 46. I still think I'm just really high on PJ Tucker and Eric Gordon.
Yeah, but I think it's so demoralizing playing with the Russell Westbrook type.
I get that.
And the high turnovers, the low efficiency shooting, the chucking.
I get that, but Russell
it.
is electrifying for that stadium. If you watch Houston games, it was one of the most boring games to watch last year.
True.
Maybe they'll have a little more fun.
It might be slightly watchable.
It might be a little more. I'm more interested to watch him right now. Maybe PJ Tucker and then we'll be a little more.
And the fans might be interested. Where's our lottery ball landing? Can we get that first pick? That's going to be more of the discussion.
But so you're saying they'll be cheering to lose?
Oh yeah, by mid-season.
Okay,
but that'll be exciting in its own way.
I guess if they do start tanking, 32 does seem much more realistic. Yeah. But I don't have them.
However, I do believe they gave up almost all their picks for Westbrook.
I do think you're a lot lower on them than I am. So I'm going to have them around 46, still an under.
Your thoughts on that, Sal?
Well, just as a casual fan, I've always been kind of slightly amused at watching. The rest of the team stand around and watch Harden's drive to the basket and whether or not the refs are going to call him for traveling. And I never see the refs call him for traveling, and the other 4 players stand to be standing around going, I can't believe they didn't blow a whistle.
Yeah,
so,
the game just kind of grinds to a halt sometimes.
If Jay is correct, I see them really struggling if they actually make them play by the rules of basketball.
Well, with the parity this season, there's
tough season for them.
There's some talk that they're going to take the regular season seriously because there's going to be a fight in the West for those playoff seats. So there's some talk that the refs are going to be taking the playoffs and just the regular season seeding seriously. Last season, obviously, you saw Harden exposed in the playoffs when they actually do call playoff intensity fouls and legitimate traveling refereeing. He's never had a successful playoff series for that reason in maybe 8-10 years in the league. He's not had a single playoff series where he looked even at an average NBA player level, which is an indictment on his career. But if it's true that they are going to be enforcing traveling and making more legitimate foul calls with the addition of the reviewing referee fouls, it could be a dangerous combination for Harden. I have it around a 30-32 win team.
Yeah, and I'm going to say 38 wins.
38 wins. Okay, I like that.
I'm kind of with Cal on this one, Sal. I'm wondering if you don't make playoffs, I think you're going to be tanking pretty early in the season.
That's true.
But I do see where you're coming from with the lack of picks that they have.
I can't remember if they have next year's pick or not. So it's a good question for that.
Yeah, we'll
either way,
Sal, you may have a point there.
But with the line at 54.5, I would do more research. Maybe Sal, Jay, you can do that while I'm talking here. But I think it's a clear under at 54.5 regardless. Even if they don't shut it down, best case they win 38 games. This isn't a playoff.
I have them at 46, but still definitely under.
Yeah, a clear under either way. All right, well, on to the Nuggets at 52.5. This is a tough one. Another good line from Vegas. A bet I'd probably stay away from. I have them in maybe that 53-54 win range. With the reloaded West, a lot of teams on the come up. I still have Denver probably sneaking into that 2 seed in the West. Probably a 54 win team, so it's a slight over for me. I probably have it Jazz number 1 in the regular season, probably Nuggets number 2. I think it's still a slight over, but the West is loaded this year, so every night's going to be a dogfight. We'll see. I like Denver. Pretty much stayed put in the offseason, no major changes, and I think winning 54 games is very feasible for them. They won 54 last year. So I think we'll probably see a similar situation, but with a slightly stronger West, they may take a dip below that 52.5 number. But I'm going to go slide over here. Your thoughts on that, Jay?
Cal, I'm going to give them an under.
Oh.
I'm a big fan of Denver, but I'm going to have them around 49 wins. It's one of those things where there's only so many wins that can happen in the season.
Yeah.
And it's a hungry West. You got Dallas, you got New Orleans, you got Lakers, you got Clippers. You can't have 8 50-win teams in there. And,
certainly can't.
And I don't think they're going to be one of them. I think what got them their spot last year was it's one of those teams that people kind of took it easy on those nights.
Well, Denver's got that home court advantage in the high altitude.
They do have that high altitude.
That's one thing to consider.
That is one thing to consider, but I do think people might take them a little more seriously this year. Last year, I don't think people treated them as good as they really are. People kind of took a night off. So we'll see if anyone's going to be resting any players coming up against them. I don't see that.
No.
And I think Jamal Murray actually made a lot of enemies.
Yeah, he sure did. I think
there's a lot of people coming after him. So we'll see. I have him about 49. I could see tough bet line from Vegas. A really good number.
Yeah, it's a good line. That's going to
So it's definitely kind of a hot take by me to say 49, but I'm going to go there.
Okay, I'm saying with the home court Denver advantage, and coming back with a slightly improved Jokic most likely and a Murray.
Really solid team, but only
team.
So many wins to hand out.
All right, Sal.
Well, Jokic, in my mind, is no Jokic.
You're saying he's no joke?
He's no joke.
I like
so
that.
I'm going to take a slight over on that. I'm going to go with Cal on this one.
Yeah, good take. Always a good choice going with Cal. I'm surprised. I don't usually disagree so strongly with Jay on so many teams, but these lines are so good that if you're over or under by a few wins, that's the line right there. So on to the Celtics, 49.5, and that's an interesting one. Like I said in the offseason pods review, not a huge fan of the Kemba Walker signing. But then again, wasn't a big fan of the Kyrie Irving signing. So, I think it's kind of, you're trading out one for the other. Probably similar level players, except Kemba's a better locker room guy. If Gordon Hayward can retain and regain form to an MVP caliber player like he was showing the past 2-3 seasons before last season, and his injury the season before, I think this team definitely could be an easy over. It's all going to be dependent on Gordon Hayward's health and whether Jason Tatum can improve and become a more efficient player, kind of like what we saw in his first year in the league. Last year, he definitely took a major step back. So it's all going to come down to Tatum and Hayward, and whether Cantor can replace Horford's defense as the center position. This is a really good line again. Vegas is nailing most of these. I have this maybe as a 50-win team, just barely. I'm counting on Hayward to get healthy. I think he's going to bring him over this line. I can see this team winning 50, 51 games. I'm going to go slide over here, but not too confident about it. I definitely wouldn't bet this line. Your thoughts on that, Jay?
I'm exactly with you, Cal. I'm exactly at 50 wins as well. Really big comeback year for Gordon Hayward, but even bigger comeback year for Brad Stevens. Last year, I think he kind of lost the locker room with the whole Kyrie situation. I think he's going to bring it back. He's kind of the genius of the NBA, and I think people forget about what he did with Isaiah Thomas, bringing him to MVP level. You get someone in there with the talent of Gordon Hayward, and now that Kyrie's gone, Gordon's the clear leader. You saw that when the team played with Gordon and Kyrie was on the bench, that team was fired up. Everyone was excited to work together. Gordon's that guy that can lead you there. The only reason I have him around 50 is I do think Gordon's health is going to be questionable coming into the season. You just don't know. It's going to take time. He's going to have to get comfortable with that role.
Took Paul George about 3 or 4 years to regain MVP form, so we'll see if Hayward can do the same.
It'll be about 2 years by then. We'll see. I think once he gets his confidence going, because as far as I know from all the beat writers and all the reporters saying Gordon's healthy in practice. So it really just comes down to can he mentally be healthy for the games. It takes a lot to come back into that prime role, but I'm seeing around 50 wins. Brad Stevens is going to have a comeback year.
Well, even in the playoffs, Gordon was saying that he was still having some pain in the ankle. He still wasn't where he needed to be. But, a whole season off, not moving, he's resting.
We'll see.
It's going to do wonders for him.
I like the pickup of Enes Kanter.
Yeah, he's a pretty good player.
I think they're just kind of going to work a little bit harder this year.
Yeah,
a little less
Stevens
ego.
has something to prove.
A little more work.
Stevens has something
a little
to prove.
more work, a little less ego. Brad
Yep.
Stevens,
Yep.
50 wins.
I think 50 wins is fair. It's going to be tight, but I think 50 wins they'll get there. Your thoughts on that, Sal?
Well, here's my concern. You talk about this Haywood fella. Cal, I saw you go down with a crippling injury about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I know, we don't talk much about some of the inner fortitude that you've shown me. But you have struggled to be the man you were 2 years ago. It's taken you a long road back.
Yeah.
And I know you're still struggling, and you're too proud a man to ever complain or take any shortcuts. But I think he's got another year of hard work ahead of him before he's fully back. So I'm going to take a slight under. I'm going to disagree with you boys. Only because of my age and experience, I just think these major injuries are there's something that's just tough to contend with. And Cal, you've
I've experienced it myself.
You've
Yeah.
experienced it yourself. Your nice lady friend, she's been there behind you, pulling for you, always very supportive. But it's a long road back, and I'm just going to go a slight under for those Boston Celtics.
It's a tight line, that's for sure. Not going to disagree too much on that one. Well, on to the Lakers. 49.5 wins. Loving this line. This is a big better. I think it's a big under for me. I have them probably slotted in around maybe 42 wins if everything breaks right. This is just a really shallow team. No bench depth. They re-signed a lot of the team they had last year. JaVale McGee, DeMarcus Cousins. A lot of these guys are, maybe at this point in their careers, G League talents. And then you got LeBron and Anthony Davis at the top. But outside of Caruso, and maybe Kuzma, who's their NBA level, league average players. They got two other guys. I guess KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope for non-Laker fans. He's pretty good, but it's just not a lot of depth on that team. And their center position, outside Anthony Davis, isn't the strongest. DeMarcus Cousins hasn't shown that he has been able to come back from that Achilles injury. JaVale McGee is not a great rim protector, and he's getting older. He's got lung issues, can't play a lot of minutes. I have this a pretty clear under for me, and LeBron himself is getting older. On top of the fact that Anthony Davis hasn't proven that he can carry a team like he may need to with this team, as LeBron has gotten older, hasn't shown as much energy on the defensive end, and it's going to be a dogfight out in the West every night. So probably a pretty clear under for me. I have them about between 42, 43 wins probably for me. Maybe sneaking into that 8th seed in the playoffs. But if they do get into the playoffs, I think this could be a dangerous team because LeBron can really turn it on when he's motivated. But he hasn't shown that yet in LA. We'll see if it happens this season. Pretty clear under for me, though. Your thoughts on that, Jay?
Give me the line again. 49.5.
49.5.
I'm going to go slight under. Not as negative as you are on them. I have them around 47, 48 wins. I think LeBron's going to... I think to him this is one of those legacy seasons for him.
That's true.
He trades Anthony Davis over his team. If he brings Anthony Davis in, he does this giant trade to the Lakers. If he loses,
it'd be a
doesn't even
major
make
black
playoffs,
mark on his record. That's for
huge
sure.
black mark. I don't think he's going to let that happen. If there's one guy that can will a whole team to victory, it is LeBron James.
Even at this age?
Even at this age.
No one's ever played more minutes than this guy going into his 16th,
that is true, but
season.
maybe he's taking some vibranium.
That's possible.
He could be on that. Let's hope he is for the entertainment value of the Lakers. But again, I think I'm a little higher on people like Quinn Cook or Danny Green. I think they're about replacement level players, and that's all you're really hoping for.
You saw Danny
with
Green in
LeBron.
the playoffs?
He can go into a shooting slump. I think Klay Thompson even had a shooting slump midseason. It happens as a shooter.
I just don't love the composition of this team. I don't love their bigs. And Anthony Davis himself, I don't love.
Especially for Danny Green, he left Toronto. Yeah, if he was going back to Toronto, maybe it will still be in his head. Starting fresh again.
All right.
We'll see. Anthony Davis, I'm really not that high on. I am very high on LeBron James, though.
Of course.
And I think after last year not making the playoffs when he was healthy for a long time, I think it's going to be a big stain on his resume if he misses it again.
I'm going to give you a hypothetical just so you can picture this. Imagine this defensive front. Rajon Rondo,
Caruso's going to be in there. Don't say Rajon Rondo.
Well, it's going to be whoever the depth chart, however it plays out. They don't necessarily have a starting point.
So
guard
if
right now.
Rajon's in there, I'm assuming he's guarding their
point guard.
their bench player.
No. I'm saying that who's their starting point guard?
Caruso.
You think Caruso will get the job? He's
Caruso,
only
Quinn Cook.
Caruso's good, but they don't have really a starting caliber.
It's probably going to be Danny
guard.
Green, Caruso, Kyle Kuzma, Anthony Davis, LeBron James. That's probably going to be the starter.
Exactly. So, out of those players defensively, Caruso's good if he gets the starters minutes, but, he doesn't really have that much cachet in the league. I don't know if they'll give him the chance.
He got paid.
Yeah, he's getting $2.5 million a season.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a chance he starts. If Caruso starts, they're actually going to be a fairly decent-looking defensive team. I really don't like Kuzma starting at the 3. He's going to get eaten alive by good, solid wings in this league, as we've seen the past couple of years. LeBron James himself, at this stage in his career, isn't chasing guys off screens. He's not doing much to help. Not really rebounding, not boxing out. You've seen that. And then
I go back to my thing though. It's just closing the end of the game when the NBA is just trying to.
You got to get there though. If you're getting
entertainment
blown up
products.
by 30, you're not even.
I don't think
there.
they'll be getting blown up by 30.
Anthony Davis is a little small at center. He's guys like Brook Lopez and others will be eating him alive on the glass and just killing him inside.
I've never seen Anthony Davis try on defense.
True,
We'll
but
see
we've had him,
if he
we've
tries.
had him here in New Orleans for the past couple of years.
But he wasn't trying.
He tried a bit. He's just a little undersized and he's injury prone. He's kind of soft. I think he was
kinda
trying.
soft.
He's pretty soft. I just see the big bodies and the Jokic's, the real big bodied guys.
If there's one man I never bet against, though, it's LeBron James. That's the only thing.
But defensively in the
I
regular
completely
season,
hear you. Every logical argument says 42 wins, but
and the
I'm
bench of this team is
on
even
LeBron.
worse. Even as bad as the starters are going to be,
on LeBron.
the bench defensively is going to be even worse.
We'll see by the end of the
McGee
season.
as your rim protector on the bench. DeMarcus Cousins, who's your
Man,
guy?
this is a tough one.
I'm sorry.
This is a tough one because they had an even better roster last year and they didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, so I mean,
this is a tough one.
The roster was clearly better last year.
But LeBron wasn't that hungry last year.
He wasn't that hungry, I'll give you that. And there was a lot of team chemistry issues, and health was a concern. Their best player went out, Lonzo Ball. He missed about 30 games. They were a playoff team, 4th seed before he went down.
I have him about 47.
It's just, either way, it's an under. But your thoughts on that, Sal?
I've stayed away from Los Angeles. I had some sizable investments down in that part of the world, and I liquidated most of those, came up north, and made my success in the Bay Area. So I have not been as keen on the Lakers, the Lakers. You boys know I'm a Warriors fan, and we'll probably be talking about the Warriors at some point. But I have followed these Lakers over the years. I actually was a Lakers fan at one point. Had some difficult times and became a Lakers fan. Anyway, I saw the light and moved up to the Bay Area and doing much better now. Got my life back together.
Well, Sal, we really appreciate how successful you've been in your investments because it's allowed you to sponsor us, and we just appreciate that so much.
Well, you can see it clearly. My hard work has paid off.
Yeah. This condo, I think that's proof that's all you need. So Sal knows a little more than he's giving off on this podcast.
I like that LeBron fella. He's a damn good player. Always has been. And I'm gonna surprise you boys. I'm gonna say they're probably gonna. I've always been high on that Anthony Davis fella. Now I'm a casual fan, so I'm gonna say that the Vegas picked it. It's a pick 'em for me. I'm gonna go with the odds. The boys in Vegas on this one.
All right, you're gonna go with the pick 'em, huh?
Yep.
All right. Well, on to the Warriors next at 49.5. I cannot believe this line now that I'm reading it. 49.5 for this Warriors team. Wow. Okay, I take it back. I thought Houston was my best under. I'm putting the Warriors on this. There's no chance they hit this line. 49.5. They just lost KD. Klay Thompson's out for the majority of the season. They just signed Draymond Green to a 4-year, $100 million extension. Steph Curry's on your team, but he hasn't shown to be the same guy. He's lost his shooting stroke the past couple seasons. And D'Angelo Russell on a max contract. I have this as a below 30-win team. This is a 25-30-win team. Steph Curry's a great player. Draymond Green has moments. He had a game or two in the playoffs where he looked like a above-average player. But the majority of his career, horrible decision-making, undersized at center, not a good, almost can't shoot, period, not a playmaker. Really bad decision maker, foul prone. He's just not the guy you want to give 4 years, $100 million to. On top of the fact that D'Angelo Russell was the 5th best player on the Nets last year and shot 10% in the playoffs, on top of being a defensive sieve with the turnover problems. this is a recipe for disaster. This is a 25-30 win team for me. A clear miss of the playoffs and a major clear under. I actually might go out to Vegas. I don't usually do this, but I might go bet $10K on this. Your thoughts on that, Jay?
I'm going to have to agree with you, Cal. Definitely a major under for me. I don't see this team being anywhere close to the playoff contention. Again, you do have to give the two-time MVP his credit, but I think his confidence is shattered. I think Kawhi just...
No, I think he may have just ended Steph's legacy.
Just ended the legacy right there. I don't think he'll ever be the same player again. Klay Thompson was the only thing that could keep this team in playoff contention, and he's out for the foreseeable future until maybe February.
And at that point, I think with that record,
at that point, I really agree with you. They're going to shut him down. Wait for the next
25-30 win team.
Because playoffs won't be in sight for that year. I did like the pickup of Willie Cauley-Stein. But again,
that's a good pickup, but this team has no depth. They lost Iguodala. They lost...
and what's really going to kill me is it's going to be D'Angelo Russell, just bringing him down. There's a reason they call him the anchor around where I'm from. He will bring your team down.
He sure will. Even on that Brooklyn squad, one of the worst real plus-minus ratings on that team, still managed, even in low-intensity games, to just have horrific efficiency on top of the high turnover rates. And we're not even taking into account defense, which rarely shows up on the stat sheet.
Yeah, it's definitely the defense that kills me. Like, even how incredibly badly inefficient he is in offense, the defense is even worse. He tries to pull what James Harden does, but he has nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to pull a James Harden level defense.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but he's
no
a poor man's James Harden, and I think that was possible.
Yeah.
But he's a poor man's James Harden.
That. But I have him around 28, 29 wins.
Okay, I think that's a little high for me.
Well, fellas, can I interject it?
Yeah, go ahead, Sal.
Yeah, so, I talked to you boys briefly about this. Now, I in my office, I got a young intern, played a little college ball, played some high school ball. And he's been telling me, Sal, he'll say, I know you're worried about your Warriors. He says to me, Klay's out. He lost Durant, and granted Durant was with the Lakers with the Warriors was a better team, no doubt. But now that Durant's moving on to the Nets, and we're going to be without Durant, he says a lot of us Warrior fans are worrying and getting our panties in a bunch because we're worried about the things you guys have been talking about here. But he claims that when Klay comes back, the Warriors are actually going to be all right. They're going to play pretty well, and they're going to do all right because they played really well when they moved the ball. They're classic Warrior. That was a 73-win team that was moving the ball without Kevin Durant. And he says, you Warrior fans are, you guys are crying in your beer. You don't need to be. You got a good, strong team. You're going to be in there. You're going to be having a bright future. I just want to know what you and Jay think about that, Cal.
Well, Sal, like we mentioned, that's assuming Klay returns. Say they're at a 10-win pace. They're not going to suit up Klay Thompson on a torn ACL when they could just set him down for the season and maybe get a high draft pick. Mm-hmm. He may not even come back. Mm-hmm. While I agree Klay's their best player, he's been their best player for the past 8 years, what does it matter if he doesn't play? Steph Curry's a good player. Klay's a great player. Klay's been carrying them in the playoffs every year. Anytime they're down, anytime they need someone to take over, it's always been Klay Thompson. That year against the Thunder in their championship run, they were down 3-2 in the series. It looked like all hope was lost. They're down 20 in the third quarter going into the fourth. Klay Thompson rises from the ashes, goes on a 15-0 scoring run. It's been Klay Thompson every year carrying them throughout the playoffs and the regular season. If he's injured and then he may or may not suit up for the rest of the season, this is a 25-30 win team pretty clearly. You lose KD, who's that guy? Steph Curry's a pretty good player, but hasn't shown to have the same shooting stroke he entered in his MVP years. He's slowing down. He's getting a little older himself. He's undersized. If you add in the undersized D'Angelo Russell, who, on top of everything else we said, is going to be mixed with Steph Curry in the backcourt, it's just a recipe for disaster. I'm just, I feel bad for Warriors fans. It's going to be the truth is coming. Truth is coming.
I guess I'll have more time for running my investment firm.
Absolutely. You won't have to go rush home to catch Warriors games.
No, it doesn't sound like it.
And Sal, definitely one more thing I know as a casual fan you may not think about this, but you might want to tell your buddy Ryan that ball movement is not in D'Angelo Russell's playbook.
No, it is not.
I don't think I've seen that guy throw a pass once. He's definitely the type of guy you give him the ball, that dude's chucking a step back three and air ball in it.
He sure is. Seen too many of those to count. I know a lot of you guys, probably.
Thanks, fellas.
When you put a player like that on your team, the whole ball movement kind of stops happening.
And the funny thing is that the casual fan and even the GMs, a lot of these guys don't actually watch NBA games, so nobody watches those Nets games. They see, the Nets are a playoff team this year. They forget about Dinwiddie. They forget about Ed Davis. They forget about all the guys that make that team, the Karis LeVert, all the guys that make that clock tick. It's not D'Angelo Russell. He might be hyped up by the league because they just need a face, but he's not that guy, and we're about to see that this year. It's going to be pretty funny to see him exposed. Can't wait to see it. I'm not cheering against the guy, but, call it like I see it, as we always do on Cal J. We always give you guys the truth, from the best takes in the business. So if you guys have money to put down and you're planning to bet these overs, definitely take that into consideration. Warriors is a great bet. Go under. Big time. The next over-under we have is the Pacers at 47.5. It's a tough one. Oladipo coming back pretty healthy. This is a pretty good team, good solid core in a weaker East. I still have this as a very slight under. I'm probably going to say about 46 wins. This is not a bet I'd like to take, but Oladipo coming back does make this a dangerous team to go over that. They may hit 48, 49 wins, but right in that ballpark where this over-under line's at, it's where I see these guys settling in. But I'm going to go a slight under just because I think the West is pretty strong this year. They do play 30 games against the West, so I think that'll take them down just a notch. And losing Bogdanovich is a bigger deal than people are making it out to be. I have them under 47.5, probably around 45 or 46 wins. Your thoughts on that, Jay?
Yeah, Cal, definitely have them under. I got them around a 45-win team. I think picking up Brogdon might be kind of a
curse in disguise?
No, I mean, it'll just be kind of one of those 50% win teams kind of thing.
Right.
He's a good player, but not really going to do too much for you. I'm hoping Victor Oladipo comes back healthy.
Yeah, Victor Oladipo's a great player.
Yeah. And Miles Turner's
I like
solid
Sabonis.
big.
I like Sabonis.
Sabonis is big. They got T.J. McConnell.
TJ's good for running that bench unit. It's a good team, but
it's a good team. They've got some depth, but
I have them as a playoff team, and say 46
They had
wins.
Jeremy Lamb, which isn't great.
That's not a good addition.
So that might hurt them. But I'm around 45.
45, 46 wins, and that's not a diss. I mean, that's a good team. It's a good, solid playoff team. But a strong West. I think you're going to lose some games out there going West. So, yeah, I think an under here for me. Your thoughts on that, Sal?
Well, Pacers. Pacers. I've always loved that Midwest hard lunch pail. Let's bring the. They play my. You boys have played some pickup ball with me.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm about. I like the physical part of the game.
Absolutely.
And I love that. Let's do this hard work, and I love that Pacer mentality. So I'm gonna go with a slight over on the Pacers.
Sal, I love it, man.
I just love that blue collar.
Sal, you just go for it.
Yeah.
I love that.
I've always loved that about the Pacers. They're one of the teams I've always loved.
But Sal, we are betting money on these. The goal is to win money.
No, you boys know when I give you my investment advice and my financial advisory services, I go from my heart, and my heart has never led me astray. You're looking at a beautiful sight out these windows.
I can't
You're seeing the Pacific Ocean, and we're looking over here at Lanai and Molokai, and have I ever steered you boys wrong?
You have not at all. But
okay.
Is it fair to say certain fields are not your expertise, and it's maybe better to stay away?
Yeah, I think we've said in this podcast, I'm a casual fan, but
right.
I watch and I cheer with my heart. That counts a lot.
All right. I can't knock that. Sal, we're in this great establishment because of him. He's our first sponsor. Who are we to question his financial investments? I believe in us. Hopefully you guys, the viewers, do too. You guys have been showing great support. So Sal makes some good calls. So if you want to go with him,
when you boys stepped off that plane at Kahului, and my staff brought you over here, I when I first saw you pull up in the Ford, the 350 that you boys had asked for, and you boys pulled up there and checked in. You saw my heart; it was swelled with pride, and I just loved that I'm your first sponsor. I think this podcast is going to grow, and I see nothing but a bright future ahead for both of you young
Well,
men.
we're so grateful for it, Sal. Thanks so much, and thanks for being on the pod.
Oh, just a pleasure.
Love having the casual fans
Just a
perspective. But yeah, let's move on. We got the Blazers at 46.5. Wow, that's a pretty good line too. Nurkic is coming back healthy next year. I like their core of their team already. They were already a pretty competitive team last year. They won, let's see here, they won 53 games last year. I don't see any major losses that are going to be putting them down too far. I could see them, this is probably a slight over for me. I have them winning about 48 games, nice competitive team. They did lose Seth Curry, but they're bringing back the majority of the same composition of their roster. Core pieces remain intact. And I like their core of their team, so I think I have them at a 48-win team. Maybe not quite as good as last year due to a little bit of the uprising in the West. Some of the teams improved quite a bit, but I think 48 wins is certainly achievable. Slide over here for me. Your thoughts on that, Jay?
Give me the line again.
46.5.
Yeah, I'm going to have a over as well, Cal. I have them around 47, 48 wins. I think that you got a solid team here, and I think some teams went down, some teams went up this year, and I think Portland went slightly up in my book with Nurkic getting healthy again.
And Collins is going to be getting older.
I love Zach
probably
Collins.
fill out a bit. Love his
Zach
game.
Collins.
I absolutely love his game. I think he'll be
definitely looks like a volleyball player out there, but love his game.
No, he's got a lot of dog in him. That's for sure.
He's got a lot of fight.
Yeah, and he's getting
he
a little
was big
older.
in the playoffs.
He'll probably be improving. So, I think it's a clear over for me.
I think Rodney Hood's kind of getting away from that whole season with LeBron that kind of shook his confidence.
Yeah,
I think he's kind of recovering.
He'll be a good bench player for them. Sure,
good bench player. Not too high on Bazemore. Bazemore's with them now.
Yeah,
but Nurkic, McCollum, Lillard, Collins. That's going to be a solid team. Pau Gasol coaching.
Yeah, in that coaching role.
They got Whiteside as well, so going to be an interesting season.
Yeah, I like they got a pretty good big rotation.
But again, I'm a huge Damian Lillard fan, and then
good player.
He's definitely
and McCollum's underrated too.
Yeah, they're both underrated. Another one of those teams that kind of does really well in the home court, also. So
yeah, I think that's pretty good over. Might even hit 50 wins, so definitely a solid over.
Yeah, I'm still going to guess around 40. I think Vegas is pretty close on this one.
Yeah, but I think it's a little
47,
too low.
48.
I think it's an over.
They're one of my higher seeds in the West.
Yep. Your thoughts on that, Sal?
I see this Portland team playing against a lot of improved talent in the West, so I'm actually going to slide under with this Portland team. I love this Portland team, but there's, as you boys have pointed out, there's a limited number of wins available in that Western Division. So I gotta take them down. I'm sorry.
That's just going off the heart that time.
Yeah, it's just from the heart, and I think they've got a great future, but I just think that this West is just too tough this year. So I'm going to say 45 wins.
All right. Well, moving on to the Raptors. We got this at 46.5. Pascal is probably going to continue emerging as one of the league's top 5 players. He was already showing signs last year of being a top 5 MVP caliber player. Losing Kawhi Leonard is going to hurt. Losing Danny Green is going to hurt a bit. They didn't really replace them with too much. Hard for me to go over on this one. I'm not a huge fan of Kyle Lowry, and he's a year older. I think they might have a championship hangover. I don't see them overpassing this 46.5 win total. I'm going to go under here. They won 58 games last year, so it's a big step back. But, with the major losses they had, it is a big step back. So I have this team as an under. Probably settling in around 43 wins maybe, because I really do like Siakam's game, but who's that second guy? And, I don't see that on this team. And Gasol's another year older too, as is Ibaka. And those guys were not spring chickens to begin with. I have this about a 43-win team taking the under here. Your thoughts there, Jay?
They were at 46.5?
Yep.
I have them at a slight under. I have them at 46 wins. A little different than you. I'm kind of a bigger fan of Kyle Lowry. Also think Fred VanVleet showed good development last postseason. But I don't know if Fred VanVleet's actually going to be able to keep that up. People actually may start calling fouls on him for hanging on guards.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing that you're alluding to, and I think is actually going to be a bigger deal, is Pascal's impact. I think he's going to kind of
the
emerge
next
as
step.
the team leader.
Giannis type player.
Yeah, not quite Giannis, but definitely a solid player. And yeah, I think around 46 is going to be fine. It's just a team of your B-plus players that kind of could go well together with Pascal Siakam. Around 46 for me.
I don't think they're a bad team. I agree with you there, but I think 43 or 42 is probably more appropriate for me. Your thoughts there, Sal?
Well, you boys both know I'm married to a fine Canadian wife, beautiful woman. So I'm going with my heart. I'm going to give them a slight over at 47 win.
47 wins, huh?
Yes, that's right. Now, here's where I'm coming from. I love this Canadian wife of mine. She's a wonderful woman. You guys have met her. Just love of my life. And, she brings that Canadian pride. And I believe that though they won that championship this year in 2019, that Siakam fella, as you mentioned, is going to come on strong. And there's going to be some pride there that's going to carry forward. And that pride will ensure that they make that 47 win total.
Canadian pride, I like that. It's from the casual fan as
Oh, Canada.
Self-described casual fan.
Oh, Canada.
So, absolutely. All right, well, moving on to the Spurs. 46.5 wins here from Vegas. I think this is a slight under for me. The Spurs always seem to surprise. They've made the playoffs for 22 years straight. It's hard to go too far under here. Popovich always has these guys playing hard, with the exception of Game 7 in last year's playoffs. That was pretty inexplicable. But I could see that being a backbreaker because, deep down I think these guys know if we get there, what's the point if we're going to be coaching and playing like this in a Game 7 where they let 24 seconds run off the shot clock and they just went home? Are these guys really going to be fighting that hard to get in the playoffs if that's the kind of effort they're going to put forth in the playoffs? So I think I have this team as an under. I have them maybe around that 41 win range, fighting for that 8th seed, but I have them probably just outside looking in, maybe 40 wins. But it's an under for me at 46.5. No major changes to the team, but I don't think the talent on this team is really going to be stacking up too well against the rest of the West. And I think that series last year against Denver was pretty disheartening for this franchise, and I think they're going to be taking a step back this year. Your thoughts there, Jay?
Well, Cal, I'm going to have them around 38 wins.
Yeah.
So pretty low on my book. The only reason there is I think it's kind of one of those things where if you're not going to make the playoffs, you kind of start trailing off.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of be once they're around the 60 game mark, they're going to realize it's not really in the cards for them, and I think they will start trailing off. Maybe get some better positioning within the draft. Who knows? But that kind of seems to be the way it is. You never really end up around 40 wins. And if you did, you kind of played it wrong. So I'm going to have them around 38 wins. Again, I don't think Popovich is the genius that people make him out to be. I think a lot of his success goes to Tim Duncan.
Well, you do know Tim Duncan's going to be joining as an assistant coach on the coaching staff, as is Ginobili. It's rumored.
There's something about great players that just don't make great coaches or great NBA executives.
That's true.
Look at Magic Johnson. Look at Michael Jordan. Just
even Larry Bird wasn't particularly effective.
So when you put the greatest player of all time in a coaching role, we'll see how he turns out.
Tim Duncan is the greatest player.
Yes.
You're still on that, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
I think that's most people, even the casual fan, Sal probably agrees.
Tim Duncan is
number one.
Your thoughts on that, Sal? Is that absurd?
Well, I've been on this earth a lot longer than you two fellas. And I got to rate him up there, but I would not go so far, Jay, as to say he's the best player that's ever played the game.
No.
But in fairness,
he's top 5. I'll give him that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Top 5, but I just can't put him at number 1. With so many all-time greats, you got Jordan, Pippen, LeBron probably is in that conversation. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah.
A lot of great talent.
It's definitely something worth talking about in a future pod.
Yeah, we'll definitely have a GOAT discussion. That'd be a good one.
That would be a
Stay
good
tuned. Oh, Sal, what was your take on the over-under here?
And we're talking about
Sal,
San Antonio Spurs.
all those Spurs.
are you dozing up on us, Sal?
Yeah, it's just been a tough day in the office today, boys. So,
well, thanks.
we're talking about the Spurs. this is a team that has always impressed me. That they have, as you boys put it, they got a lot of dog in them, and but that dog seemed to lose its bark that last 7th game. So I'm going to side with you boys and say that's a slight under for me, just because there's got to be a hangover there.
All right, well,
that dog quit barking. You guys saw that.
That dog quit barking. I like that. I agree with you on
7th
that
game.
one.
Real puzzle to me.
Yeah. Well, the next one we have is the Nets at 44.5 wins. This is a tough one. I have them probably a slight under here. Kyrie Irving, I don't think can lead a team, and I think in this occasion he might be a team cancer once again because Tigers rarely change their stripes, and you saw what he did to the Boston culture. Nets, they probably didn't even have as good as a team chemistry already intact, though they had a good culture building. I could see him tearing them apart from the inside out. And while losing D'Angelo Russell is a big help, I just don't really like the way Kyrie Irving has shown as a team leader, as the number one guy. With Cleveland, he was a 21-25 win team perennially before LeBron came. With Boston, he tore them down almost, knocked them out in the I believe it was the second round of the playoffs. And, I just haven't liked what he's brought to a lot of the teams he's been on as the lead dog. And I think he's going to be trying to resume that role of a fairly, not super high efficiency guy, ball stopper, and I think that's going to have negative consequences on this team. I think it's a slight under for me, probably a 42, 41 win team for me, the Nets. I think they overreached last year. Teams didn't take them seriously. They won some games they probably shouldn't have. But I think, with Kyrie Irving, teams are going to be bringing their A game this year. So I think that's an under from me. I have them slightly missing the playoffs in the East, most likely. Your thoughts there, Jay?
Well, Cal, need I remind... First of all, let me say this is definite over from Jay. Need I remind you that this team made the playoffs with D'Angelo Russell?
Right, in a terrible Eastern Conference.
And in my opinion, the Eastern Conference got worse.
It probably did.
So I have them around 47 wins for that reason.
You know what, Jay? They may make the playoffs. I'm mostly saying that as
I know you're
as a hater on this team. But I guess 41, 42 wins probably is going to get you into the playoffs in the East this year, based on my projections here. So probably they make the playoffs, but it's going to be a low seed. I'll give them that.
I have them around 47 wins this year. I think one of the problems that Kyrie had in Boston that he's not really going to have in the Nets is that Kyrie had a lot of there's a lot less of point guard mouths to feed for Brooklyn. I think there was a lot of playing time concerns with Boston. There were a lot of players who Rozier believed he wanted that starting spot. It seemed kind of like Jaylen Brown wanted the ball a lot. Tatum wanted the ball a lot. A lot of people were hungry for the ball. This team's been used to playing with D'Angelo Russell, so anything better than that is going to seem like a really big breath of fresh air. They don't seem like the team that kind of let that get to them. I watched some of those games last year, and it didn't really seem like they were getting as frustrated with D'Angelo as I was, and I wasn't even playing the game. So I can imagine, actually, if someone's ball hogging and they're actually making shots, if you've been conditioned with D'Angelo Russell, I think that's going to be a deadly combination. I think that's the best training you put any team through, and then give them Kyrie Irving, who could actually score and actually make shots. I'm going to see around 47.
I'm nervous to give any team with a max salary committed to a guy who's guaranteed not to play this season a chance at making the playoffs. It's tough without the salary cap the way it works. If you're committing that much salary to a guy in Kevin Durant that's not going to play, it's hard for me to go over.
I just love the rest of their roster. Jared Allen, Joe Harris, Kyrie Irving, Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert.
It's a good team.
It's a solid team.
But I think Kyrie, it is a really good team.
Yeah, that's a good team.
I would not bet this for the record, but I think it's a slight under.
I would bet this, and it's an over for me.
Maybe it's my own personal bias on this one getting in the way. I really didn't like what Kyrie did to the Celtics last year. But I agree.
I agree. He had a very bad run with the Celtics, but
assuming his chemistry issues are somewhat solved here, and it's in a contract year, it's possible they could go over. I'd be concerned if I was betting this under. I might even go over, but I already said under, so I'm going to stick with it. We'll see. We'll come to visit this. I'm going to say 42 wins.
Yeah.
Your thoughts there, Sal?
This is another one that's tough for me because I don't see a lot of these Eastern teams play. So I'm gonna pass on this one. I just have no opinion at all.
Well, thanks, Sal. Thanks for being honest with us.
As long as you're honest, Sal.
Don't mislead these viewers.
No.
These good people who support this podcast.
I don't see enough of the Nets. I'm sorry. I just
No,
don't.
that's fair. You know, if you have no take on it, don't give these guys a fake one. Don't mislead them. Next one is the Heat at 43.5. Wow. I think this is a clear over for me. People are sleeping on Jimmy Butler if this is the line. You know, he's got, you know, especially in an expanded role with the Heat, I think he could take this team easy to 47 wins in the weekend Eastern Conference. Really like their draft pick of young guard. Who's the guy?
Tyler Hero.
Tyler Hero, that's right. Yeah, really like him. I think he's going to fit in well, space the floor well. They added Myers Leonard. He's going to be a bit of an asset for them. Really like the moves they made this offseason. Jimmy Butler, centerpiece. Really like them in the offseason pod, as you guys heard. I had this team at 47 wins. Pretty clear over for me here. Your thoughts there, Jay?
Well, Cal, I think they kind of got this one spot on. It's tough. I have them at 42, 43, but I guess I'll go with 43 if I had to pick one. Just for my love for Jimmy Buckets. Goran Dragic also great player. It just seems like a lot of solid players. I can't say that I'm as high on this team as you are. It just doesn't seem like they'll have that kind of star power to get the refs' calls. But
even with Jimmy Butler, you don't see it?
I just don't know. It seems like the league kind of doesn't want him to be a star, and he's just fighting to be one.
He's got so much dog in him, though. You think he's going to be denied from that?
No, it's not that. It's just I feel like it's kind of a threes league, and I'm looking at their roster, and I'm not really seeing any shooters.
Even with Tyler Hero? I think he's going to have a big role this season.
I've just never seen a rookie come in and just have that great of a year to push a team to 47 wins.
Good smart player.
Lonzo didn't make the playoffs the first year, and
he had injury concerns.
Much better player.
That's true. But, I mean, in a situation where he's a complimentary piece, Lonzo is expected to carry that team as the best player.
That is true.
So it's a little different situation here.
They don't quite have the pieces yet where I like
Dragic.
I do like Dragic. I'm going to say around 43. I do think they're a playoff team. I'm not hating them. I think
you're going to say slide under?
Is it a 43.5?
43.5.
Oh, yeah, then I guess I got them a slide under.
Okay, but it's a clear stay away bet for you because you're right on that line.
Definitely stay away bet.
Okay, well, I've made a pretty good over. We'll see how that sifts out. But Sal, your thoughts there?
Slide over for Sal because I love this Butler kid, and I also have always loved Dragic.
Yep.
Yeah, I've always loved him. So I'm gonna go slide over with this team.
Yeah, I have them as a playoff team as well. Yep. Okay. Let's go on to the Magic at 41.5. This seems like a bit of a reach for me. I really don't like their point guard situation. I think it's DJ Augustin is still their starting point guard. He had one good game in the playoffs, but outside of that, really isn't going to be moving the needle much for them. Aaron Gordon's a pretty solid player, but I don't really like the Vucevic re-signing at the number they got him for. He's a decent regular season player, but come playoff time, he got exposed last year. I mean, 41.5 seems a little high to me on this team. They didn't really add much. Maybe there'll be a little organic growth from inside, players developing. They got Aaron Gordon's going to get a little bit better, most likely. They have who's the long young man from
Mo Bamba?
Mo Bamba, that's right. Yeah. He'll be getting a little better.
Or are you thinking Jonathan Isaac?
Well, Jonathan Isaac as well, but I was thinking Mo Bamba. But yeah, I think I have a slight under here, just because of the improvements around the league, and I think it's they had a really good run at the end of last season. I don't know if they'll quite repeat the same magic with the win getting removed from their sales after the playoff appearance they had last year. They won't be fighting quite as hard to get there after they saw what happened to them last year. I'm as a slight under here, probably a 40-win team.
And the line's at 41.5?
Yep.
Man, Vegas came correct on this one, Cal. I got them again a slight under. I got them at 41 wins. I think when I was watching the playoff series last year, I'm thinking Aaron Gordon might come into his own this year. It seemed like going with Vucevic, letting him do his thing, didn't work. So maybe the coaching staff realizes we got to let Aaron go. We got to let him go do his thing. Again, the roster's not that solid to me. I've always been down on Michael Carter Williams. He's one of those players who I'm wondering why he's still in the league.
Yep.
DJ Augustine, just their guard rotation. It's a guards league.
It's a
right
guards
now.
game. Yeah.
And they don't have it. So right now, and then I mean they picked up Fultz. Like
if he sees the floor,
that's where they're at.
If he sees the floor this year, that's
so,
the state of desperation.
And I'm not high on Vucevic.
I don't love their offseason.
Don't love it. I think Aaron's honestly their best player right now.
Yeah.
I'm not too high on them, but they're just one of those teams that kind of squeaks out a lot of wins.
They do. I mean, Clifford's a pretty good coach. They play hard for him.
Yeah,
He's
they play hard.
Defensive-minded coach.
For some reason, maybe people just come to Orlando and party too much the night before, and they just have bad games.
Yeah, whatever it is.
But it's interesting.
they're not going to be a bad
41.
team. They'll be a challenge every night, but I don't see this team going to be. I don't think they'll quite repeat what they did last season.
Yeah, I got them around 41.
Yep, I think that's probably about right. 40, 41. Oh, your thoughts there, Sal?
Well, just love that Aaron Gordon, as you boys mentioned. I don't know if you knew this, being a Bay Area entrepreneur that I am. I've had some great interaction with that young Mr. Aaron Gordon over the years, and just a fantastic kid. I wish him the best. I'm going to give him my solid one from the heart and say they're going to make a slide over on that total.
Well, you might be right on that one. I mean, this line's pretty close, so not too far a stretch to say that. I got the Mavericks here next at 39.5. I have a feeling that Jay and I are going to disagree based on our prior discussions. I have this as an under.
Oh my god!
There's just a lot of great teams out in the West. I don't have the Mavericks making the playoffs based on my projection. Kristaps Porzingis, if he comes back at 100%, he would be a great player. But coming back from an ACL tear, I just think it's going to take some time for him to regain form. Doncic is a good player, not super efficient and not the greatest offensive or defensive presence. So outside of that, I mean, it's a pretty decent roster. I just don't think they quite have the top end power. Although it's going to be nice losing Dirk Nowitzki because he was a bit of a sideshow the past few years, and he distracted them from playing real basketball to the best of their ability. But I think this is a slight under for me. I have them probably about a 38-39 win team. Last year they certainly weren't a playoff team. They won 33 games. They added Kristaps Porzingis, who is coming back from an ACL tear. I think this is probably about a 38-39 win team, but not a 39.5 win team, as the over-under line's at. What do you think about that, Jay?
Well, I definitely disagree with you, but again, I am very worried whenever it comes to an ACL tear, especially with Kristaps, who relies so much on his athleticism. I still have him at an over. I have him around 45 wins. Luka Doncic is the man, and just really thinking that Porzingis might just develop into that kind of Dirk Nowitzki.
He's got that kind of
shooter
ceiling.
role.
He's got that ceiling.
I'm hoping he's healthy by mid-season, but I think Luka can carry him there till he get there. I don't think 45 wins is out of the question, especially with Luka's development. We'll see. Always scared of an ACL injury, but you know how high I am on Dallas.
Yeah, what's your win projection there?
45.
45 wins. Okay, Sal. I think Sal is in the shower for this one.
No,
excuse me. No.
I'm with you, boys. So that Dallas team, I'm going to go with Cal. I mean with Jay on this one. I've got them as a slide over.
Definitely, Sal. And I think you're making the right choice there.
Yeah, I'm impressed with that Dallas team.
Yeah, with the pickup of Seth Curry.
They got potential. I do like the Seth Curry pickup, but just depending on Porzingis' health, I think it's a bit of a stretch to say they'll just instantly get there. I think it's going to take some time, especially in the loaded West, as we know. And that brings us to the Pelicans at 39.5 wins. This is another highlighted bet here. I think it's a clear over as New Orleans' premier podcast. We've been telling you guys. I think this is probably a 53-win team. We got the best best point guard in the game right now, Lonzo Ball. Zion Williamson's on the come up. Jackson Hayes. We had a loaded draft class. We brought in Ingram. We got Derek Favors. This is just a loaded team. I have them at 53 wins. Definitely going to be putting some money down on that in Vegas. I rarely do this. Not a big gambler myself. But when I see a line this out of whack, I think it's a must bet for me. 39.5 clear over by about 14 wins. Your thoughts there, Jay?
Well, Cal, as part of New Orleans' premier basketball podcast, I'm going to have him the clear over, a must bet for Jay. I have him around 51 wins. I think 53 is a little high for such a young team. Lonzo's going to be coming in healthy. We got Brandon Ingram, J.J. Redick in the coaching role, as I've said before.
Plus spot minutes off the bench. I've heard.
I've heard he is going to be playing.
He will be playing.
Drew Holiday, I think you sleep on him a little more than I do. I think he actually will have a few good minutes. Zion, I kind of agree with David Griffin. He's just going to be a facilitator of the offense this year. I know he's one of those guys that just loves to win, so he'll probably be passing, playing defense, blocking shots.
You need those guys. You need
him
your,
and Jackson
your prime
Hayes,
Draymond Green types.
Him, Jackson Hayes, and Lonzo on defense. That's a deadly combo. Rebounding, they're just going to lock the floor down. Derek Favors is going to be great, having just nice size. Worried to see if Josh Hart gets considerable minutes because I never think that does. I never think that's good.
He's a poor man's
David
J.J.
Griffin
Redick.
is probably going to stop any coaching decision to keep him playing all the time. So I have him around 51 wins. Definite over for me.
Your thoughts there, Sal?
Well, I'm so excited as you're one of your premier podcast sponsors to say, hey, I'm with you boys on this one. I like this team. I like all the ads, and my boy Ryan there in my office, he's a big fan of this. He said his view was this was the best offseason of any NBA team in terms of.
That's exactly what we've been saying. So
yeah, so I'm going with you boys on an over on that, and I tend to be a conservative investor, as you know. I've had some spectacular successes. I have not taken any obscene risks, but this seems like a sure bet to me.
All right, well, let's speed up the pace a bit. We still got a lot of the lottery team bottom feeders, so we got to get to those guys. We got about 9 more teams. Timberwolves at 34.5. I'm going to keep it quick. I have this as an under. I don't like the Karl Anthony Towns extension from last year. Andrew Wiggins hasn't proven to be a positive impact player. No other major moves happen. Loaded West. I just don't see this being a winnable situation for them. They won 36 games last year, but I think with the increased strength in the West and general malaise of this franchise, I have this about a 32, 33 win team. Not really liking their odds going forward. Your thoughts there, Jay?
Definitely an under for me. Only positive bright spot for him is that they've had before is Rocco. Love that guy, but other than Covington, Wiggins I'm not high on. Karl Anthony Towns I'm definitely not high on. Jeff Teague I do kind of like his game.
Yeah.
Jordan Bell, good player, but something about the Timberwolves just they never play well. I got them around 31 wins. Doesn't seem like a playoff team to me.
Yep, your thoughts there, Sal?
31 wins for Sal.
31 wins. Straight up, I like that. All right, well, on to the next one. Let's go to the Bulls at 33.5. I'm going to go slight over here because I like Kobe White. I think he's going to bring a lot of energy to that guard position. I think I could see them winning 34, 35 games in that weekend East. Maybe take a couple of the wins off the bottom feeders here that are going to be tanking because there's a lot of really terrible teams out in the East. And I think the Bulls might have, just enough. I kind of like Levine. He's really been working on his game the past few years. I have this about a 34, 35 win team. Just a slide over from me. Your thoughts there, Jay?
I have them over as well, but I think they're around 36. I think one of the most slept-on players of Lonzo Ball's draft class is actually sitting right there on the Bulls roster, and Lauri Markkanen. Sharp shooter.
And he'll be getting better, too.
Sharp shooter. Guy is an animal. Him and Levine, it's going to be a good backcourt. I've got him around 36 wins.
Yeah, I think that's about right. I noticed... Oh, go ahead, Sal. You can take
I love my Bulls. Going to go with the slide over on the Bulls.
All right. Moving on, I actually forgot. We forgot about the Kings and Pistons. So, Kings at 37.5. Wow, this is going to be a tough one. I think this is a slight over for me.
Cal. That is a tough one.
It's probably right on the money, this line. I have about 38, 39 wins. Really like their main core, but losing Cauley Stein's going to hurt. And I don't really like re-signing Harrison Barnes, but I think with De'Aaron Fox's development and the overall, Buddy Hield's a good player. They're a feisty team. I could see them winning 38 games. They're a pretty good team, so I think that's just about right, that line. I could go either way on this. It's a bit of a pick 'em, but if I had to go, I'd lean slightly over about 38 wins. Your thoughts there, Jay?
Yeah, I have them around 38 wins, but if you had to ask me what's my dark horse for a team that could make the playoffs just in some freak miracle,
yeah, I could see it happening.
It could definitely be the Kings, but I'm in a realistic, they have them around 38 wins. Love De'Aaron Fox's game. Buddy Hield is also a good player, and Marvin Bagley's pretty
and
solid.
They'll be getting better too.
They're all getting better. Excited about the team, but those small market teams, sometimes it just never really works out for them with the whole situation with the refs kind of favoring the big market teams.
Yeah.
I got them around 38 wins.
Your thoughts there, Sal?
Well, I like this Sacramento team, and I don't know if you boys know this, but one of my financial advisors, I work real closely. He's an actuary, season ticket holder of those Kings, and he says, this is a team that's up. They're up and comers. So I'm going to give a slight edge to the Kings this year, and I'm going to keep that positive vibe, and I'm going to say they're going to be a slight over.
I think that's a good take there, Sal. Moving on to the Pistons at 37.5. This feels like an under for me. Not a lot of action happened their offseason. Blake Griffin's another year older. He's already got some knee problems to begin with. I just don't really love their team, their core. I'm not sure about the chemistry there, how they fit together, and just the synergy of the team. I'm not sure how the X's and O's work with that team, with Drummond and Blake Griffin working together. Drummond's still on the team, correct?
Drummond is still on that team.
Okay, good. Otherwise, I would have to revise my, statement. But either way, that team has not a lot of. There was no movement in the offseason, so it's an under for me with a lot of the increased strength in both the East and the West for a lot of teams at the top. So yeah, I'm going to say about a 34-35 win team for the Pistons here.
Yeah, Cal, I got them around a 34. It's going to be an under for me. I think Blake Griffin just kind of, for me, with the Detroit Pistons, it's kind of health concerns, It's Blake Griffin, he's coming back. That knee's been bugging him. Yeah, they brought in Derrick Rose. Those injury problems are going to be a concern as well. But I'm just not really seeing it. It just seems like kind of like a little too injured, too old team to really make any splash in the NBA. I was a fan of Reggie Jackson, but nothing really ever came out of that. They seemed like an up and coming team, and now it doesn't really seem that much anyway. Things are kind of sliding back. Things are getting kind of desperate when you're picking up Svi Mykhailiuk. Just as a Lonzo Ball fan, I was watching him a lot last year, and kind of desperation
That's
move by the
Pistons. That's a big time desperation move. That guy should probably be spending a few more years in the G League.
The guy should not be in the NBA.
No, and that's nothing personal. It's just we've seen a lot of.
But we just tell it as it is out here.
This counts, as you guys know.
Definitely,
Sal, your thoughts?
Definitely under.
Well, here's how I view this thing. Here's how I view it. I think that all the points you've made are right. And Cal, as we said, you've had knee problems. You've been a pro player yourself. Jay, you've reffed professionally. You've seen knee problems. This is going to be a real problem. I'm going to have them as a slight under.
Yep. I think knee problems are tough to overcome, especially for a guy like Blake Griffin.
I've seen you overcome it, Cal,
but I've tried.
It's a rare individual that does.
I mean, and Blake Griffin relies so much on his athleticism in his game that it's going to be tough for him to overcome defeating athleticism. Anyway, moving on to the Hawks at 33.5. This feels a little too high for me. Don't love Trae Young. I think his game's flashy, but, the more wins you get, the more higher the intensity of the games pick up. And as you saw last season, at the start of the season, a lot of the games were the highest intensity of the entire regular season when guys have a lot of energy, they're bringing it, they're fresh off their summer workouts. Trae Young struggles in those situations against top-notch guards that have elite athleticism. So, I think this team is probably going to be about a 31-win team. They won 29 games last year. Maybe a slight improvement. John Collins is a pretty athletic big. But I guess Herder is how you say his name. He's a pretty good player, but overall, I just don't think they quite have enough to get over that hump. And, they're still probably a superstar or two away from really becoming a competitor out in the East. 31 wins for me. It's a slight under.
Yeah, Cal, I have them a slight under. I have them at 32 wins. I'm not really going to see too much out of these guys. Young team. Trae Young, kind of good end of the last season, but you never know when
Lots
it's
of teams packing in at that point.
Yeah,
so.
that's kind of how I see it. Cam Reddish, I'm not too high on that draft pick. I got him around 32 wins.
Your thoughts there, Sal?
Well, I saw that Trae Young. He must have been a year before when he was in the summer league, and I said, you boys know I still run full court basketball even at my old age, and I've seen some amateur guards I play with that were, I was confused if Trae Young I hadn't played some Saturday mornings with him when I first saw him break in that summer league. You boys have.
He looks
so yeah. So I'm just not sold on him yet. Although I got to give the man credit, he proved me wrong. I didn't think he'd survive the season, and he actually.
I thought he would get cut this season.
He actually rose to the occasion. So congratulations, young man.
Yep.
Trae Young. But I do have them as a slight under.
In fairness to Trae Young, Sal, he did almost make Rookie of the Year by the end of the year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He just
but
he did have an awful summer league, but
he looked like a fish out of water.
He was not that player once he realized he had to actually start taking legitimate shots.
But secondly, is it fair to say he only succeeded when the intensity really ratcheted down a few notches once people start mailing it in against the Hawks?
That is true, but I think if he just works on his shot selection, he's not an awful player. If
he does have a good handle.
It's a really good handle. And not a bad shot, actually. Just his shot selection is really the issue.
All right, well, moving on to the Thunder at 31 wins. This is another Cal highlighted bet. A huge over from me. I had this team about a 45 win pace, sneaking in possibly to that 8th seed. Unbelievable for me to put this line at 31. I mean, the Hawks at 33.5 and this line at 31. That is ridiculous. That is absurd. You got Chris Paul, a former All-Star, who really hasn't fallen off that much. All that really fell off was the usage. If you look at his per 36 stats with James Harden off the court,
it's a pretty solid team.
Very similar numbers to what he's been putting up his whole career. You got name me a few players there, Jay. You got the roster.
Raymond Felton, Terrence Ferguson, Danilo Gallinari, Nerlens Norwell, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Andre Robertson.
That is a stacked
Dennis Schroeder,
roster.
Steven Adams.
Yeah, sorry. This is a 45, 46, 47 win team. They got rid of Russell Westbrook, who was holding them back. This is just a stacked team. They lost Paul George, but he had injury concerns. He was great in the minutes he played, but he kind of nets out with Russell Westbrook. So overall, I see this team as a step up from last year. I think they're a more competitive team out west. They even have potential to make moves in the playoffs. With Chris Paul's been a notorious good playoff performer. Hasn't always had the talent surrounding him, but that mid-range game really shines in the playoffs. I have this as a dangerous team going forward. They won 49 wins last year. I don't think it's a stretch to say they win 45, 46 wins this year and sneak into that 8th seed. Really solid team, dangerous team. Losing Russ Westbrook's going to be big. 31 teams is a travesty. Vegas is going to lose a lot of money on that one if people are smart. Your thoughts there, Jay?
I think we're gonna disagree on this one. I am going over, but I'm going about 34. If there's one thing I know is sometimes Vegas knows something I don't. Kind of insider trading thing going on. So maybe they know that OKC plans on tanking. And
how do you tank with that roster, though?
I don't know why. But
that?
Honestly, sometimes they do it.
Do you think the players
sometimes they made Jeremy Lin tank it when they did not need to make Jeremy Lin tank it?
That's true.
He had chances to make.
So you think they're going to sit down half the roster? They're going to say you guys aren't playing half the roster.
I honestly,
there's a lot of good rotation players on that roster. Roberson's great.
Okay, I'll give him 40 wins.
Okay, I think that's
40. I think 45 is a little high.
That's a really dangerous team.
It's a dangerous team, but
Steven Adams is criminally underrated.
Yeah, but it's a guards game, and I'm not too high on Chris Paul.
Chris Paul and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander?
Yeah, Chris Paul, I love him, but if he's not healthy,
he hasn't really been that unhealthy. He's had some minor injury concerns here and there.
He's getting older.
He's getting a little older. He's got a lot to prove next season. He's got that dog in him, man. Watch out. 45 wins certainly possible.
Wins. It just seems a little high for me in the West.
I think there's about 4 teams I'm going to bet on here, and that's one of them. That's an easy over for me. Your thoughts there, Sal?
It's definitely an over.
I like this Thunder team, and although I have to say I don't know all these players you fellas have been mentioning. As a casual fan, I know this Adams fella, of course, and Chris Paul's always got a lot of dog in him. So I have them also as an over on this.
What's your projection? How high over do you think?
What's the line set at now?
31.
Okay, I'm going to say 34 wins.
Okay. All right. Well, glad to hear we're at least all
I'm going
over
to take
on
that. I'm going to go up to 42.
42 wins from Jay. I'm glad to convince you a little bit.
Yeah.
I think 45 to
It's just
47
I
wins.
can't bet against Steven Adams.
Yeah,
I just
it's
don't.
pretty
I
hard
can't
to
do it.
They're going to be dominating the glass? I don't think so. Not on Steven Adams' watch. Anyway, so moving on to the Suns, 29.5 wins. This is a rough one. I
That
think
is
Vegas got
high.
this one pretty close. The Devin Booker effect will always surprise you even further than you could imagine. So I think this is probably still an under in the strengthened West. Phoenix won 19 games last year. I don't really see what moves they made or the steps they're going to take. DeAndre Ayton might get a little better, but with Devin Booker on their team, it's always going to be a battle to get over that 20-win hump. So I think this is a slight under for me, probably about a 25-win team. They're probably going to end up tanking next year. Come mid-season, they're probably going to shut everybody down besides Devin Booker, let him take his shots, and you'll see him right in the lottery again. Your thoughts there, Jay?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I got him around slight under. I got him around 28 wins. I mean, they have Aaron Baines now, Saric, Kelly Oubre, and Ricky Rubio, but what's that really going to do for you?
You got Devin Booker there. It's always going to be tough.
It's always going to be tough. Maybe Ayton will have a breakout year, but I just don't think so. They got Kaminsky. They
Kaminsky,
got
but
players, but
they're better than last year, no doubt.
they're
about
definitely better than last year, but still, I just don't see them winning games.
And secondly, that front office loves to tank. So, I could see them easily just saying, "Hey guys, we're not winning tonight. Shut everybody down. Don't try." End up at 25 wins.
Something about that stadium, just watching them, everyone just seems asleep.
Yeah, they're ready to go home, go party at ASU or something.
Yeah.
It's just not a winning situation there as long as Devin Booker's in town. So I have him on under there too. For me, about 25 wins. For you, said about 28. Your thoughts there, Sal?
Yeah, it's the same for me. I'm just not excited about this Arizona team.
Yeah. Well, moving on to the Knicks at 27.5. Another under here for me, although I do love Julius Randle's game and the signing. Just don't like R.J. Barrett. Don't like Dennis Smith Jr. There's a lot I don't like about this team. They've historically been a very underachieving team. I don't think this team has a lot of expectations this year. But last year they won 17 games. I think 27.5 seems a pretty high number to hit this year after what they pulled off last year, even with the Julius Randle addition. And keep in mind, Julius Randle's not the best defensive player at protecting the rim. So I think this team's probably going to be a slight under for me, about 25 wins as well. Your thoughts there, Jay?
Can you give me the plus minus again?
27.5 for the Knicks.
I got him on a slight over. Just as a Pelicans fan, I got to give him with Julius Randle coming in there.
He does play hard every night.
Yeah, I got him a slight over.
Even with Dennis Smith Jr.?
Yeah, even with Dennis Smith, I really like this Ignas Brazdeikis.
He is good.
I was watching the Summer League. Maybe it's just Summer League. You never know. But 28 wins for me.
Can I change my projection slightly? I'm going to go slight over.
Yeah.
I do love Julius Randle's never going to take a night off, so I'll give him 28, 29 wins. I think it'll be a very slight over.
Yeah.
It's not a bet I would take either way.
It's tough because
I don't know. The possibility, too, is that New York shuts everybody down, and I'm always worried about that with these tanking teams.
And they do. And New York goes hard.
And they go hard at the tank, and that's what I'm worried about. So that's why I have the under.
But maybe they'll learn their lesson from
Julius
this
Randle
last season.
They're paying him big money, and he's not going to back down any night. So I think they could win 29, 30 games.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to go over with you on that one. I think Julius Randle's got something to prove. Your thoughts there, Sal?
Well, I watched the Knicks play when good old Walt Frazier was playing, Southern Illinois University, standout guard. I've always had a soft spot in my heart. I remember Willis Reed, some of the greats. So I'm going to give them a slight over.
All right. Well, we got 4 more teams, guys. We'll wrap this up pretty quick. We got the Wizards at 27.5. John Wall's out for the season. Not much of a loss either way. They just re-signed Bradley Beal, I believe, to an extension.
He did
I
end
do-
up taking the deal?
I think he did. Yeah, I heard he did. We'll confirm that. Roy Hachimura, I really like the draft pick. I do have a slight over here at 27.5. I have these guys in about the 28-29 win range. I like Bradley Beal's game a lot, and I really like the draft pick in Hachimura. I think he's a nice long wing that they've been needing, and I think I have just enough to get this over, assuming that the front office doesn't shut everybody down and start tanking really hard. I have this as a slight over, just too much talent to win fewer games than this.
Yeah, Cal, I'm gonna slightly I have a slight under. I'm at 26 wins. Hachimura did love the draft pick, but I think 2 desperation signings in Wagner and Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, but they don't have to give those guys minutes.
It's just something about desperation signings. Just it seems like they want to tank.
It does seem like that. Plus,
if you pick up Isaiah Thomas, I'm assuming you're tanking.
I better hope you are.
Especially Wagner.
And it is possible they're trying to reload for next year, coming back all strong for the John Wall when he comes back.
Yeah.
So I could see them tanking this season, but I think there's just a lot of talent on that team in Bradley Beal.
I see Bradley Beal and Hachimura.
And Hachimura carrying that
Thomas
team.
Bryant.
Yeah, he's a good player too.
He's getting better, but
I think it's just enough talent to get over that 27.5.
that's tough.
But I wouldn't bet this line.
I wouldn't bet around 27.
Okay, your thoughts there, Sal?
No opinion on the Wizards.
Nope. Okay. We got the Grizzlies at 26.5. Man, another tough line. These low lines are tough because you never know at what point the office starts shutting the team down, because this is going to be another tanking team. I don't like the John Morant draft pick. I think he's going to be a bit of a Dennis Smith Jr. light. I do like who's my guy, my European guy, Valanciunas. I do like him. He was killing it at the end of last season, albeit in the low intensities part of the season where people start, mailing in the towel. But I think this could be a slight over at 26.5. Although you are in the West, this is probably between 26 and 27 wins. So I wouldn't bet this line. I'm going to go slight under, I guess. Slight under, maybe 26 wins. Your thoughts there, Jay?
Yeah, Cal.
They lost Conley. That's going to be big.
I think the one thing that Memphis seems to be doing is it looks like this team's not going to be the same team we see mid-season.
Yeah.
I don't think they plan on keeping Iguodala or even Dwight Howard or Valanciunas. I think some of these are trade options for picks. We'll see. But right now I have them around 25 wins.
Yeah, I think that's about fair. Your thoughts there, Sal?
Gonna side with you boys on that.
All right, good call. On to the Cavaliers at 24.5. Man, I dare go but Kevin Love's going to be good enough. Okay, I'll go over, just because the Kevin Love effect. That guy can win you games single-handedly. I really didn't like the draft pick of Darius Garland over Sexton, but I think with Kevin Love on the team, they have too much star power to lose below 24 games, even if they're trying to, even if they shut him down. The only way they're doing that is if he gets injured, so I'd say odds are he probably remains healthy, even if he gets traded mid-season. At that point, I think they'd probably still round out to about 25 or over wins. I have this team bad, horrible, but not quite abysmal. Slight over for me, 25 to 27 wins.
Yeah, this is one of those teams, Cal, that I'm cheering for them, but I got them around 25 wins.
Yeah, and Nance plays hard. You got
Larry Nance. I love Jetty. Jordan Clarkson, not a good player.
Not a good player, but he does play hard.
Getting Delly back is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And Sexton's a good player. Darius Garland, we'll see what he turns out to be, but 25 wins.
Yeah, I think it's pretty close to this line, but I'm going to go slightly over. Your thoughts there, Sal?
Got a brother-in-law from Cleveland. Going to go slide over with them.
That's good enough reason for me. Again, thanks so much for sponsoring this pod, Sal. You've been great.
Well, you boys are just...
Sorry, it's ran a little long. Thanks, you guys,
Proud
for
to be
still
a
listening.
sponsor. Proud to be a
There's
sponsor.
30 teams.
There's a lot of teams in this league.
A lot of teams. So we did want to do this in one pod so we can get all in one pod for you guys any given Sunday. So we want the best content every Sunday. So on to the Hornets, the last one. We've got 23.5 wins. I'm going to go slide under. I think they're just going to shut it down this season. They lost Kemba. They don't really have much to play for. This could be one of the reminiscent Charlotte teams of old, the 7-win teams. I think they're just going to shut it all down, try to tank. I think they'll be a below 20-win team. Your thoughts there, Jay?
I'm gonna have to go with you there. I got a slight under, but I don't think they'll be sub 20 wins. I think they'll be around 20. Just not a great team to me. I think Michael Jordan's probably the worst owner in the league.
Yeah. They've been abysmal ever since they let Jeremy Lin go a couple of years ago.
They've been abysmal. It's just, there's something about Charlotte that's just, even losing Kemba like that should mean they're going to be doing better.
Yeah.
But,
but who's that guy?
The guy is Rozier, but I just...
Oh, did they pick up Rozier?
No, they picked up Rozier, but, what else? They're stuck with the Batum contract.
Yeah, Batum's a nail. Yeah, it's a nail in the coffin. You know what? With Rozier, I actually like his game. I forgot they added him. I was like, did they add no one? I was looking at the roster there. They did add Rozier. I'm going to go slide over here. 25 wins for me.
Man, I can't. 20 wins. I love Rozier, but I just can't do it.
I think Rozier is better than Kemba. So if they won 30...
No, he is, but...
Jay, they won 39 games last year.
Did they really?
39 games. And you're just basically trading out Terry Rozier for Kemba. I'm saying that's still at least a 25-win team. That's a clear over for me. I'm sorry, fans, that I forgot about the...
I'll give him 25.
Yeah, I'm going to give him 25.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So I guess that wraps it up. Oh, sorry, Sal, go ahead.
Oh, no, just no real strong opinion other than I've always loved Michael Jordan. And I didn't like you guys using his name in vain.
Well, we apologize, Michael.
But I know you always bring the truth, and you spit truth, so...
Yeah.
So, can you be fair, though, he has not been a good owner.
No, yeah.
Hell of a player.
Great player.
Hell of a player. And great guy. Great guy also.
Yeah. Diehard competitor.
I had two of my sons.
I did personally
one of my
meet
sons
him, and
played ball with him.
Yeah.
Actually played ball with him. So.
Yeah, I did get the opportunity to. It's Cal here speaking. Great guy. Really was kind to me. Did let me down, though, while I was playing with him. He was on my team, and he was bricking jumpers. So we got to talk about that, Michael, if I ever see you. But you kind of let us down in that 2-on-2 game against Carmelo. But another story for another time on the pod. Thanks so much, you guys, for watching. Sal, it's been great here. Thank you so much for having us in your condo.
So great to have you boys out to Hawaii.
We're still adjusting to Hawaii time. It's a little late here. So if we were a little slow there at the end, getting through 30 teams, a little tough.
We worked hard tonight, boys.
Thanks for bearing with us. Jay, thanks so much. You always give your best effort. You're pretty on point today. Any other things you want to say, Sal? Thanks for being our first sponsor.
Just proud as punch that I could be part of this new podcast. This is a premier podcast, I understand.
New Orleans premier basketball
Pelicans.
Yep. We're happy to be that. So glad to have our first sponsor on board. Any other sponsors you listen, feel free to contact us. Our email. It's in the link. Jay, thank you so much. You have anything else you want to say?
Peace.
All right. Thanks, guys.